Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Welcome to another episode of the show. I am your host, Alex Gore. I'm here with a new surprise guest, Lance Buffett Cayko.
Yeah.
It's not our regular Lance Cayko. It's Lance Buffett Cayko.
We'll get into that.
There's a story behind that. We have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the market, multifamily market. We're going to talk about legal battles in Denver, which make my blood boil. Some of the stupid stuff people do. We have a great guest, Reed, but before we get into that, go just check out RevitRocketShip.com. If you are about improving your efficiency, which will increase your rewards financially because you'll be quicker, but also modeling like it gets built so that you're more responsible and your buildings are modeled to reality, or if you just want to get your staff all on the same page, check out RevitRocketShip.com, where you get our training, our template that we've developed over the years for you to rocket into RevitRocketShip.com. Did I say RevitRocketShip.com?
I believe you did, and I actually got a call. I forgot to tell you about this. I think yesterday or the day before from somebody who was interested in buying Revit Rocket Ship.
Yep.
And they had some questions about it. I answered them. So if you ever have any questions about the Revit, and then they bought it. So if you ever have any questions about the Revit Rocket Ship, you can just call me. You can email Al, akg@f9productions.com. My number's public pretty much at this point. It's on the website. You can find it at f9productions.com. And last but certainly not least, arccat.com is your one-stop shop for specifications, CAD details, BIM content, and so much more. Whether you're an architect, engineer, or contractor, ArcCAD has the tools that you need to streamline your projects and stay ahead of the curve. Best of all, it's completely free to use. Start your next project. Search on ArcCAD. That's ARCAT.com. Al, back to me.
Yes.
Al, back to me. Al, back to me. Lance Buffett Cayko. I just want to say that me and Warren Buffett, just so you guys know, we picked the same stocks because we know what's up. I'm not here to give you stock advice. But if you're my friend, if you're a fishing buddy, if you come fishing with me, I'll give you stock advice.
Yeah.
Because I know you're not going to sue me because I'll just throw you in a lake or not take you fishing again.
Either, yeah.
This
is painful.
Shout out Beetle Bill. You got the advice. It's all good. But that's why we got called that today.
I was almost going to throw Matty P in the lake, but he totally redeemed himself, so
okay.
It's good.
Okay. Do I have? Yes, I do have stuff here. So our good friends from the NAHB, National Association of Home Builders, have some excellent news that I hope to share with everybody because it's news for us too. One of the things we've been lacking in the last couple of years is more than one multifamily project at a time. This sector of the economy has really slowed down, and those of you that practice architecture like we do, where we're doing a lot of multifamily previously, is we're kind of feeling the pinch, and developers have been having a lot of trouble making things pencil, especially if they only recently picked up the land or they're looking at the land. Some folks who have had land for years and years and years, they can get it to pencil, but that's a rare bird at this point, I think. So the article, which was published yesterday, February 26th, says multifamily market to stabilize towards the end of 2025, and I wonder if Al or Gore will agree.
Yep. So the second paragraph, in 2024, multifamily construction saw a significant decline as starts fell 25% to a rate of 355,000. That's crazy. There were approximately 1 million apartments under construction, the highest rate since 1973, which put a damper on the apartment market. So then they go, so there was 300, it fell in 2024 to 355. In this year, the rates will fall 11% to 317, but then in 2016, up 6% to 366. Is that the big trend? It's dipping this year and then should turn.
Yep, exactly. So the idea, and then further on, on a positive front, the article goes on to say the industry is supported by a low national unemployment rate and a potential influx of young adults as they enter the housing market. Quote, currently the number of young adults between 25 and 34 living with their parents are at elevated levels, said Molly Bozel, a senior principal economist at CoreLogic. Pent-up demand for multifamily housing will continue to build as these young adults move out of their parents' home. With the nation currently experiencing low home affordability as the 30-year fixed mortgage rate remains close to 7%, many renters are choosing to stay in the rental market. Another factor suppressing trade-up options for renters is that single-family housing inventory remains unseasonably low because most homeowners have mortgage rates below 5%, the golden handcuffs, and electing to stay put. However, I have gotten word that a couple of the biggest home builders in Colorado right now have been offering rates that are below 5%.
Whoa.
I don't know if you know this. I'll tell you about
Oh, he's coughing.
where I got the in data, where I got that information from later off the show, Al. Yeah. But I was shocked at this news because I had asked, I go like, how's this person I was talking to? I was like, how's business? They're a realtor-ish. And they were like, there's been weekends where it's just out of control. And I go, what do you mean? I'm like, seriously? And it's the two biggest home builders in Colorado. Okay. You can guess who they are. And what they do is they end up buying blocks of mortgages. So they'll buy like 20 at a time.
Okay.
At like 4.99 or 3.99. And they can do it because they have their own, they still outwardly go to mortgage lenders. It's sort of this
economies of scale, and they have a separate window at the Fed, and
you got it.
Yep.
It's that stuff.
Yeah.
It's that stuff.
Yep. You got to qualify through Bank of America.
So what
JP Morgan Chase.
Exactly.
Sorry, I got to keep going. Jamie Dimon cosigns.
You got it. Who's the BlackRock guy that's been in the news lately?
I forgot
something
his name.
Glass.
Yeah,
something like that.
I'll find it.
You'll find it. He anyway. It's something like that. So what I think. Look, I am just go ahead.
Larry Fink.
It's a different guy actually. The guy who's saying that he's going to help with deportations. Sorry to go there, but like it's that guy. Anyway, where I'm going with this is I am incredibly optimistic because of that pent-up demand that we just cited in the article. And people like, I remember having to go back to my mom and dad's temporarily after graduating college. Then I got married, and then there was no jobs because it was a Great Recession, and I hated it. And Al did something similar, and it's like,
nope,
not doing it. We got to get the F out of here. I'm ready to get an apartment. I'm ready to get a house. We are primed and ready. We just have to work through these next couple of quarters. So keep the faith. Try to. Don't. I would say. You're like, be careful about the kind of work you're turning down right now. If you maybe you can even turn some stuff down, and it's little stuff. You just got to get through these first couple quarters in 2025. I really think we're going to see some relief in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter, and we're going to be back because the demand is just too big for us not to be there. So once
my perspective, the only thing I worry about, which I hate, I hope you're right, I think you'll be right, is that everything is still so inflated. It is, if the interest rates come down, then yes. And I guess that's what you're banking on, right? Because if they don't,
if they don't, I agree. The fundamentals got to change a little.
Yep. So I do think they will. If the rates come down, I do think the rates will come down. Hopefully, at least 2 quarter point changes.
The title of this show is actually, this episode is called "Will Banning Gas Stations Lead to Affordable Housing?" So here's a fundamental change that's happening right now.
This makes all the sense to me in the world.
How am I squaring the two? Well, let me get into it.
Yeah.
I found this article on LinkedIn like yesterday. I was just shocked at this news. It's out of Denver. Legal battles loom as Denver passes controversial gas station ban. Did you hear about this?
Nope. Read that first sentence.
The city council passed Denver's controversial gas station ban Tuesday in a 12-1 vote.
12-1.
But legal challenges are imminent, sources say.
Yep. What does the ordinance say?
The ordinance bans new gas station within a quarter mile of existing stations and rail transit stops and 30 300 feet of protected residential areas as defined in the Denver zoning code. Its most controversial feature, though, Al,
Yep.
is its retroactive enforcement date of May 13th, 2024. So last year, right? Pretty much coming up on last year, 2025. Projects submitted to the city after that date that don't meet the just passed requirements will automatically be rejected. That means sunk costs and land purchases, architectural fees, and other expenses associated with planning a new development.
Before we talk about the bill, why this is what pisses me off the most. Why do they think this retroactive stuff? Like, why do they even propose it?
It's draconian. That's the word we're looking for, by the way, because it's like those are overarching laws. Yeah.
Yeah, but how do they not understand, like, do you have to somehow personalize it to them and say, like, what's something that every one of these people would have bought? I don't know. Let's make it a major purchase. It could be anywhere from, like, a computer to, like, a car for their kid.
How about a television? There's more flat screen televisions, you know?
Well, no, what? I literally want to use
Or a
a car, a phone, or a computer because
Yeah.
it's a couple $1,000s, and maybe you bought a car for your kid, $12,000, an old Beat or something like that. And then we say, hey, just to let you know, those are now banned now, and if you bought them in the past 5 years, you have to dispose of them. They'd be like, what? What are you talking about? What are you? I spent $12,000 on this car for my kid, and now I need to get rid of it. Yep. Like, and I want that to be a law, and then to make it a law.
It's right. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So here's what the proponents are arguing for about the bill. Why it's good.
Okay.
Proponents of the bill argue that Denver's dwindling developable land would be better used for social good, such as affordable housing. They also point to the environmental impact of fossil fuels and increased electric vehicle usage. Quote, building new gas stations now is like building more blockbusters in the age of Netflix, council member Chris Hines said during the meeting.
But that's not your so that's not your decision to make, though, because the person who's making that decision is putting down money and having the bank involved. So they're putting down the risk. Like, they're more attuned to whether
Yes.
it is or not.
Yes.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
How do you know better than someone investing millions of dollars?
Yeah.
And they could say, well, Blockbuster went bust. Yeah, did you? Okay. So you were so bright that you made Netflix, and you're now on the board of Denver after you made Netflix? This is crazy.
This is crazy.
This is crazy because you knew Blockbuster was going to go down, so you made Netflix, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? I'm going to look it up right now. It reminds me of Paul Krugman on the internet. You've probably
More predictions, first one?
Exactly. This is an infamous one. And if you guys don't know about this, this is how, like, these folks that are just getting there, what it is they're in a bubble, right? So they're in an academic bubble, they're in a bureaucratic bubble, they're in a political bubble, and they're not out there on the ground like Al is talking about, actually understanding what the economics and the implication, right? So Paul Krugman is a perfect example of this. A winner of the Nobel Prize in economics, Paul Krugman wrote in 1998, "The growth of the internet will slow drastically as flaw in Metcalfe's law, which states that the number of potential connections in a network is proportional. Most people have nothing to say. By 2025, it will become clear the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machines."
Yeah.
Like, that was his claim. And we're coming to you live on the internet right now, Paul. Yep. Like, so, yeah. You got to push back. You got to, like, this is not rational. This is not real. And we really need to, like, if we're really talking about solving the affordability housing problem, it's not picking and choosing winners. It's making the path and the lanes available to the developers, and the market can decide. Like,
yeah.
That's where it's at.
But that's what's so crazy about it. One is that this is 12-1. That's crazy too. So, like, I just question how your thought process works, because it just increases this incremental hold down of all these rules and regulations. Like it just continues it. And all of a sudden because this is what you're doing, you are now dictating and governing what the market does, what can be built where. And if you looked anywhere in history, that has never worked out. That has never worked out.
Never.
And this is like, oh yeah, but it's a line. You're crossing it. You're crossing it. You're crossing it so much that we don't even need to define where the line is. You're just on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyways, this is coming from a person who thinks that batteries in the next 5 years costs will be cut in half. Mm-hmm. And then all electrical vehicles then will be on price parity with all gas cars. And a bunch of people will see the benefits of just plugging in a home, never going to a gas station, and living a great electric car life. And solar panels too are probably going to get 25% cheaper. So now you'll have power from your home. Like, this is a guy who really thinks that all of that is going to happen. I'm still not banning gas stations.
Diversity is either diversity is our strength or it isn't. Like, again, like I look, you gotta. If we're here to really solve all the problems, we gotta throw all the solutions at it. We can't just pick and choose. It doesn't matter if it's on the energy sector or the housing sector, all that other stuff. I'm so tired of it. I'm blue in the face. Okay, Let's move on to our read. We've got a wonderful read here. This is the wrong one. Sorry, let me go get to it. It is from our good friend over at Twitter, formerly the CEO founder of Twitter.
Yep.
What's his name?
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey.
And what's crazy about this is like I'm not saying I agree with what he's doing now or anything or follow him, but like, it doesn't mean in the past you couldn't really hit on an idea.
Absolutely. Right? Like, yeah. Politics aside, whatever he's doing.
And I actually have no clue.
I don't know either. He's been pretty quiet. Oh, he kind of turned into a monk. But okay, here we go.
You have to make every single detail perfect, and you have to limit the number of details. That's it. Every detail perfect, limit the number of details. If you can do that well, no matter where you are in the org structure, no matter where you are in the company or organization, you're going to succeed because you're paying attention to the smallest things. And if you pay attention to the smallest things while knowing what's important, then everything else takes care of itself.
So he was the CEO of Twitter.
Yeah.
And I think he forgot that he knew that because it was
interesting.
Because it was, make sure every detail is important and then limit the number of details. Mm-hmm. Right. And what happened at Twitter was Elon came and just cut a whole bunch of things, limit the amount of details, and then focus on the things that actually matter. Like, limit.
One good example of that. Did you know this?
What?
One of the first things that Elon cut, which was hilarious,
was,
and he continued it for a while, was the janitorial services.
Oh yeah.
So he was just like, technically we can get by without it. I'm gonna focus on the algorithm. I'm gonna focus on the details. I'm gonna meet with my engineers and all of that. I'm pretty sure they have janitorial services now, right? Then they looked at like the headquarters and then like rent and all of that kind of good stuff. And of course the corporate media shills were again, people who think they know, like these corporate media shills, like, you know what it's like to run all these companies? Get out of here.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Why is it the people who have no idea about things like have the strongest opinion about them? Isn't it weird?
It's very weird. It's very weird. I think some people, if you talk to them, and you bring it up, they'll be forced to make an opinion up, and it will just come from what they've heard, right? So it's not really their opinion. It's just a repeat of whatever news or information that they have. But the people who are making up those opinions on the news and stuff like that, I feel enough of them don't have the gumption, the humility, the ego. Their ego is too big to say. Here's one example. I heard this. One of the guys was saying, "Hey, might as well go for Elon." I wish, this is a very easy thing to say, I wish Elon would be more of a scalpel while cutting. rather than like these big blunt moves.
Rather than an axe.
Rather than
Yeah.
an axe. Rather than an axe.
Yeah.
And you know, like he's like, and this guy is not a huge owner of a business or anything like that. He's like, and I think that even if you were running a big business and you were redoing it, you would have a process in place, and you would, you know, weigh each example, look at the pros and cons, and then you know, basically cut from there. And it's like, but no, like you can look at a bunch of examples where they did they didn't do a drawn out process, or, you know, what the House says is like all cuts should be run through us. Like, well, it has been for the past 200 years, and you haven't done it. Yeah. And it would just slow down the process to a crawl, and thus it wouldn't happen. So like, yes, has he cut too much and even admitted it? Sure. But it's like, if the fat is this much fat and you have this much of muscle, and you're like, okay, to get rid of this fat, like we did cut into the muscle a little bit, or else you could just keep, you know, this much fat. You could like, which is a terrible idea too.
Push this came to shove. I've always been about the big axe. I'm okay with it, but I get that if other people aren't. So,
yep.
Anyways, if you like this episode, you're watching on YouTube, you know what to do. Leave us a positive comment, like, subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. Send us fan mail. Don't ask us for stock tips. We'll see you next week.